registrations, usually April through August. And then we kind of see a trickle in of additional organizations and interests, new organizations forming, et cetera, throughout the academic year. So I would anticipate that number to be at least 900, probably more by the end of the school year. As I said, users of Sun Devil Sync are a little bit interesting. So we have 621,618 users of Sun Devil Sync. That number seems very large because it is, but that is also because of the admitted students factor. So all admitted students are counted in that number. Sun Devil Sync users also never go away. If they have their single sign-on still active, they are still technically able to log into the system. They won't be able to do much if they're not involved in an organization anymore, but they can see content going into the system and things like that. So that number continues to be quite large, but it does work in our advantage as far as communicating with different groups and making sure that the whole community is aware of things that are going on. And I'm going to try and click out just for a second here. There we go. So just to do kind of a really brief tour of Sun Devil Sync and the different things that we are able to do. I apologize, I'm going to have to sign in again. I'm going to switch you, only because you might have different access than me. Give me 1 second. It doesn't want me to. Well, I can do most of it, I think, from this view, if you don't mind. Is it okay that I use your profile? Okay. Oh, but we're sharing this one. Okay. It's back on, yeah? Okay. Okay, fabulous. All right. So just a couple things to kind of highlight. If you're unfamiliar with Sun Devil Sync, it's just the basic information that it brings to students. And so on a student's homepage, there's obviously a great search feature. So if they're looking for certain types of events, if they're looking for an organization to join, anything like that, they can easily search and find all the different opportunities that are available to them. If, for example, a student were to search for a sailing club or things like that, they would see multiple options come up because we have so many student organizations, whether that's based on the campus that they're sitting at, or just the different types of clubs that we have. So they can really go in and find what fits best for them, whether that's, again, an event that they're looking for or a student organization. Everyone has a list of events and things that they might be interested in on their homepage, and students can actually set the criteria for that. So if they're super interested in social events, but not really interested in art-related events, they can set their homepage to filter events that may be more interesting to them. And then organizations that a student is a part of. So depending on the student individual screen, they'll see different organizations that they're a part of and manage different things depending on their leadership roles within those student organizations. Okay. I don't want to do too much on your profile, but we can do some, I think. All right, so if a student is looking for a different event, they can go in here and find it, again, searching for things that are as soon as tomorrow or that same day, and also searching by campus, which is a really, I think, important feature to our students that frequent just one campus or maybe looking for something conveniently while they're located on another campus. We can filter everything down in Sun Devil Sync by campus, which seems to be really helpful for our students. And then there's different themes and categories that students can also filter by. So if they wanted to only look at events related to Changemaker Central, some more service-based activities, things like that, they can filter through that as well. I'm gonna see if I can show you all real quick. I need to try and sign in one more time. I wanted to show kind of the simplicity of making events in Sun Devil Sync, which many of you may have seen before. Oh, fabulous. Okay. Let's go. My bar's in the way. Here we go. Okay. I just want this to be a full screen. I'm going to stop sharing and reshare real quick for our online visitors. Okay. There we go. Okay. So as you can see on here, these are the events that we just saw. When you have a certain student organization or you're a leader within a student organization, you can also go into the events that your student organization or your department even is in charge of, and go and create different events for that as well. So let's see. Some of the different things that our students can also do on Sun Devil Sync is pull up their different past involvement. So a great resource within Sun Devil Sync as it relates to events and student organizations is also having different forms of a co-curricular transcript. So if a student is trying to go in and make a resume, if they're trying to remember all the different things that they've been involved in or all the different events that they've attended or been a part of, they can easily pull that from Sun Devil Sync and have that information at their fingertips. Even submit that as a supporting document for employment or a resume or something like that. All right. So then I'm going to try my best to get to this screen, but it's not cooperating with me. All right, we'll go the wrong way. Okay, so I'm gonna go to one of our organizations and just show what exactly it looks like to have different events and what that backside of that looks like. So you all can see kind of the different data and things that we're pulling from events that we're doing as well. So I'm gonna look at an event that we just had at our programming activities board at our West campus. We'll look at. All right, so our Around the World Carnival just happened a couple weeks ago at the West Campus for our Programming Activities Board. It's a large event on the West Campus. This is kind of the back end that the student sees. Event details, they can go in and edit in the time leading up to events, but afterwards, so long as they use the check-in process on Sun Devil Sync, it actually gives us details on the students that attended the event. So they use the check-in process through Sun Devil Sync, which is just an app that scans a student's QR code. Super, super simple to use. We've actually instructed a few of our college partners and things like that on how to use it because it's so simple and students are getting used to just having their QR code ready when they go out to events. And it's always the same QR code attached to that student. So if they save that on their phone or in their wallet or take a picture of it, it is always that QR code and they can just have it out at events for a very, very quick check-in process. One of the events that we did during Fall Welcome, our Inferno Fest event, we checked in about 3,500 students in about 30 minutes. So it's a really, really quick process, especially now that students have kind of gotten the hang of it. And so we have information here. We can actually pull this attendance report of 435 students to see who those students were, how long they stayed at an event for, and then to kind of segue a bit, Alicia has helped us to create a dashboard so that when those students are pulled from Sun Devil Sync into our data dashboard, we can actually tell a lot more about them as well. Again, helping to inform our decision-making process there. So I'm going to turn over to Alicia for a few minutes to kind of talk about that process as well. And I'll flip back.
Okay, so I think all of you guys just heard how easy it is to get information into Sun Devil Sync, how easy it is for students to be able to log in and indicate that they've attended an event and that there are existing people out in the community, departments out in the community who are already using Sun Devil Sync to manage their events. And then in addition, the student clubs and organizations. So for all of those reasons, the Student Connections and Communities team really thought it would be helpful to the ASU environment to make sure that everyone else can get connected to that information, so that if you're a college, you could see, hey, the students who are in my college, what events are they attending? You oftentimes hear a lot of things about things like co-curricular and engagement and involvement. And so this is all an attempt, hopefully, to help the rest of the institution be able to see how students are engaging with ASU. And in this space, engage in sort of student events and clubs and organizations. So for this process, we actually partnered with our enterprise technology counterparts, put in this was we had, lucky enough for us and for everyone involved, they had an API, which meant that the data could go over in sort of a nice enough, easy enough way in automated fashion that could help us in our larger data warehousing kind of efforts. So what you're seeing here on the screen are a few set of tables. There's way more in the data warehouse. So this is going to be under the student schema. And all of the Sun Devil Sync tables are going to have an SDS prefix. Many of those tables are going to probably not make too much sense for you. They're going to be like finance allocations and things like that. The ones you're going to pay attention to, if you're interested in this kind of data, are the ones that are going to have the words organizations on it. So who's in our student clubs and organizations, and events. So what events are there, who's attending, who's registering. To start off, this is going to be our student club and organization tables that we have. So you can see SDS organizations. That's going to be what are the organizations? Are they active? Are they frozen? Who are the organization members? And then who are the organizational leaders that are there? One important thing to know about this, the organizations will be updated. But in terms of membership to an organization, there's no rule that we have for our students at ASU that says, hey, if you're going to be a part of this club, you must register in Sun Devil Sync. And then, by the way, when you realize you don't want to be in the club anymore, if you are registered, you have to remove the information from Sun Devil Sync. So it's kind of the best information that we have based off of our flexibility that we have to allow students to get connected to clubs and organizations. So best information we have, take it with a grain of salt, should still be useful and helpful in terms of understanding students. There's also just another part of this. This information all can go into a co-curricular transcript that exists in sort of the back end of this space as well, but this gives you a sense for the information. One note I'll say in the far left corner, to try to connect this to the rest of the student information, there's sort of a super column that is in the file under user ID, and that combines a whole bunch of stuff in there. So if you're trying to figure out what's the unique ID I'm going to join on to make it relevant to my college or to my student groups, it's going to be the user ID, but you're going to have to use some dot notation to pull out the username or the campus email. So that's going to be the ASU Write or the ASU email. The second set that you're going to pay attention to are the events. And so you can see we have events, event RSVPs, and event attendance. Probably what the team uses the most are the events and the event attendance space. To give you a sense about the events, there are some general thematic categories that are on events. You can see the event name, so you can see chapter meeting, potluck. There's a whole bunch of dates, so you can try to contextualize their attendance at events over time. And then there's usually some description about an event, Once again, the data that goes in is the data that's going out. So some of the event descriptions might be a little more detailed than others. And then if you're ever interested in location, there is some locational information in there as well about where the event was hosted. In terms of event attendance, once again, everything I mentioned on that user ID and having to use that dot notation is also going to be relevant. So if you're interested in understanding how students are engaging at the university, how they might be involved in student clubs and organizations, and how might they be attending events, highly encourage that you look at these tables in the data warehouse. And then if there are any questions or concerns or issues, making sure that you connect back with Courtney to be able to help answer any of those questions you may have.
Awesome. All right. So that is about all. As we just kind of said, and I don't think we're going to open it now for the sake of time, but Alicia gave a great snapshot on what is all included in the dashboard. I think some of the most important things that we've gotten from it that have really informed our decision making on future student involvement opportunities is some of the different things like which college students belong to who have attended certain events, which campus are students willing to travel from to go to different events. As we looked at the carnival at the West Campus, we were delightedly surprised to see that a good amount of those students, about half, were from the West Campus, and the other half were made up of Poly, Tempe, and downtown students. So fabulous reach from just one event. But different things like that are helping us to inform what is a student willing to travel to? What different colleges are maybe not engaging with certain kinds of programs and things like that. And so this has really been a game changer for our team, just to know where we're kind of hitting the mark and what students we're reaching. And then of course, what students are we not reaching? What students are not engaging, so we can do more intentional outreach to those students and get them engaged with what they may need. So I put my email address up there. Please do, as Alicia said, I encourage anyone that is interested in using Sun Devil Sync more or interested in the data warehouse information and what that all looks like. I'm happy to have conversations with anybody. Like I've said, it's really been an important factor for us in making better decisions in how we're engaging with our students. So I will pass over to our colleagues in career services to take over from here.
Give me 1 second to get it up on the screen. Tiffany, if you want to come out too. All right. Good morning. It's nice to see all of you today. I know we are the last thing before lunch, so hopefully this will be kind of interesting. My name is Sarah Lascola. I am the Director of Career Services in ASU Career Services.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tiffany. I'm the data analyst specialist, work for the Career Service Center, and I've been here for 1 year. I graduated from WP Carey School of Business and earned a master degree of business analytics in 2021. And it's my privilege to co-presenting with Sarah and my former supervisor Alicia, who recently got a promotion as a senior director of the institutional analysis.
I don't have data degrees, so I'm only going to share some high-level information about career services just to set some context, and then I will turn it over to people who can speak data better than I can. So this is just a brief overview of what we're going to cover. And to get started, I'm just going to explain a little bit about career services. For those of you who've been around ASU, you know there's multiple career services. Our office is kind of the infrastructure. We serve every student in every college, every modality, so all 160, 70,000, whatever the number is on a given day. We serve any of those students. And very briefly, we have kind of three main arms in our office. The career readiness is the student-facing side, which is what we're going to talk about, the engagement data. But we also have a team of people who works with all of those employers who are involved, and then the team with Tiffany and our other folks who work on all the data and the technology. So this is kind of a screen that we like to use with a lot of our students and really with a lot of the families as they're coming in. Students come in and they think, I'm going to major in this, I'm going to get this as a career, and this is a straight line. I think we all know that is much more of this down here when students get here, which can cause some anxiety of, I thought this was my major and I thought this is how I was going to do everything. But then their values, their identities, their experiences here, their classes here may lead them on a different path. So we have lots of career things available to help them as they're navigating this. And then everything that we do is kind of based around these career competencies. And these are based on the NACE, which is the National Association of Colleges and Employers. These are like the national standards when we're working with students on things that kind of regardless of what kind of profession you're going to go into, these are skills that you need to have in some form or fashion. So all of the programming, the technology, all the things that we do with students and the things in the curriculum are based around these competencies. And very brief highlight of the services we do have. We do in-person and online services, advising appointments, career exploration. We do a lot of helping students search for jobs and internships, everything and anything to do with resumes and CVs, mock interviews, career fairs, recruiting, employer events, all of that good stuff. We do a lot with grad school and test prep as well. And then anything that we do with a student in person, whether it's in an appointment or in an event, we have an online version of that so that students can engage anytime, anywhere. Through a lot of surveys, students don't want the one-on-one appointments as much. They want to be able to do things when they want. And I always like to look at when students are engaging with our tools, and it's between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. That's when they want to engage in career conversations or work on their resume last minute for a job they're applying to. So I'm going to give it over to Tiffany in just 1 second. But a lot of the information that she's going to share is around one tool in particular, Handshake. So Handshake is our institutional tool that all of the career centers use where jobs and internships are posted. It's also how students make career appointments and do some other things, but there's lots of things on there. All students have access to it. Unlike Sun Devil Sync, they do have to be admitted and enrolled in order to have access. And then alumni also retain access to this as well. I think I'll turn it over to you all and you can explain the actual data side of it.
So same kind of concept of what we were talking about before. There's a set of services at the university and not everyone might have previously been able to get access to that information. And so it's very important for us to make sure that that information gets to all of the people we partner with on a regular basis to be able to make sure we understand how students are involved, but also understand our student interests. So similar kind of effort, partnered once again with Enterprise Technology to make sure that this data could go into the data warehouse. Once again, this is also in the student schema, but there are two varieties of data that are there. One is going to be about interest data, which is up on the screen right now. And then I'll show you in a few seconds about engagement data. So when we think about why students are at the university, obviously students want to get an education. They want to continue their path forward. We're all very committed around metrics about things like retention and graduation. But we also know that we want our students to be equipped when they go out into the world to be able to get whatever job that they are interested in or meet their needs as it relates to continuing education. So what you'll see here is some interest information that they've communicated to us via the Handshake app. So when they create a profile, they can also update their profile. They're asked a series of questions about what they're interested in doing. So career cluster will be a sort of a high level area, topical area. Are they interested in sort of STEM related fields in terms of their jobs? Job function. So do you want to be more of an analyst? Is that the kind of role that you want to be? There's also job role interests, similar. There's job location. So do students want to stay in Arizona? Do they want to go out of state? And all of these other spaces here as well. What industry, right? So we're analysts oftentimes in this room, but we work in the education industry. And so when we think about our students who might be living in Tooker as an example, they all might be grouped together because they're in engineering, right? But they might have very different paths about where they want to work and how they want to contribute to the world after they leave. This kind of information can help us connect that to students to be able to provide them different kinds of experiences. So make sure that you check this out. I think it could be really helpful in understanding who the students are and where they want to go in their future. This just gives some quick examples of what those values are: the career cluster, the graduate program goals, industry interest, and post-grad goals. So are they primarily looking for that last one? Are they primarily looking to get a job, or do they want to go volunteer, or do they want to go into the military? So all of this stuff you can sort of explore more if you have access to dBeaver, and you want to kind of look and see what all the values are and what and how to contextualize that and what might be of interest to you. But please do check those out. And then this information is going to be about engagement. So we talked about involvement from a Sundeville Sync perspective about events. This is about how they are engaging with career services at the university, as long as those career services are logged into the Handshake application. The Handshake application is used by the career services unit, but they're also used by other colleges at across the institution as well, putting their information in here. So the first table is about who's applying for jobs through Handshake. That could be internships. That can be, sort of full-time jobs, part-time jobs, with what employers and what industries are those employers in. Have they attended at a career fair? Have they registered for a career fair? Have they gone and met with a career coach so that they can kind of have maybe those one-on-one conversations that Sarah was mentioning? Have they completed their profile in Handshake? Have they logged in? When was their last login? And have they gone to any other career events, a classroom presentation, a panel with employer, things like that? Once again, encourage you to use the various data resources that you might have at the tip of your fingers to be able to look at what this data looks like and how that could be valuable to you. There's also a career services enterprise folder that you could request access to as well. That's going to surface some of the dashboards that Tiffany is going to share.
Hi, everyone. I might be a little bit coughing during the presentation, but it's not sick. I got my COVID and flu test, so no worry about that. So in order to make all the data information make sense, we decided 3 dashboards: the career readiness dashboard, career outcome dashboard, and the OPT-CPT employee dashboard. These dashboards are like a visual hub that help our university staff and the stakeholders to better understand the data. So let's move forward to see these dashboards. The first one is the career readiness dashboard. The career readiness dashboard helped give a comprehensive view of how our current enrolled students are engaged with the career readiness resource we provided now. And it's a window into their career readiness and the utilization of our service. Here's the screenshot of the dashboard. There are 3 sections in this dashboard. The first section is the filters. There are student profile filters on the first column, first row, and the student demographic column at the second row. So users can easily access the information they want by a simple click. The second part is engagement information details, like the number of total students enrolled in the semester and total unique engagers. Also, we have the activities engagement interactions details and the monthly unique engagement count. The third section are the demographic engagement information at the university level. The second dashboard is career outcome dashboard. This dashboard stands for the first destination survey. It sheds light on where our graduate students are heading after they completing their programs. It's a valuable resource for assessing the impact of our education and the surveys on their career. The first destination survey is administered 1 month after graduation and up to 6 months before graduation and up to 6 months after graduation. The core questions.
So First Destination Survey is a national survey, and there's the first question is the same question that everyone gets, and it's literally, where are you going next? What's your first destination? And then it's very outcomes focused. This data is very much used around the institution for admissions, recruiting, and then for academic colleges too, to find out where their graduates are going. And then this is just kind of a highlight of that first question. And that's the main question. After that, there is a few ASU questions in there, really trying to gauge whether their degree is related to where they're heading. And a lot of that information is really valuable to colleges as they're looking at programmatic changes. And then some of the academic colleges also have questions in there.
The following screenshot of the dashboard, we have three sections in this dashboard: the student outcome dashboard part section, employee destination section, and the continuing education section. In the career student outcome section, we have their average medium salaries, the top job function and industries, and the overall career outcomes. Also, here is a chart. Bar chart shows what are students primarily doing after graduation, and show the top. A pie chart show top location for the employers. We also have a 4 small bar chart shows student feedback on ASU prepare me to find a career, ASU prepare me to succeed in career, and your job is closely related to your future career jobs or goals, or your job closely related to the field you started in ASU. And in the second tab, you will be able to see the employees who hire ASU students and their locations and the employer locations. In the third tab, we are able to see. In the third tab, you are able to see students who choose to continue their education, the college they work to, the degree they earn, and the majors they selected. The third dashboard is OPT CPT employee dashboard. This dashboard shows the top employers who hire ASU international students with OPT CPT since 2014. Sarah, could you please give the definition of the OPT CPT?
OPT and CPT are for our international students. It's curricular, practical training, optional practical training. These are for how international students get employment after they're finishing their degrees or sometimes during their degrees. This information is incredibly valuable when it comes down to recruiting purposes for academic colleges, is lots of international students coming here want to know what's available, where they can go, where other students have gone. So this is probably the most utilized dashboard we have, I think, at this point.
Example for the OPT CPT dashboard, the data we collect, the data is collected by the International Student Survey Center. The main questions in the collecting file might be, we got the student academic level data, student college major, and their applied OPT CPT type, the OPT CPT duration and applied term, also their citizenship. Sorry, during the from the data collection. From this data, we can know the top position employers who hire ASU students and OPT CPT overview by college level. And this data also help provide an overview of CPT OPT utilization based on the student, college, and major level. Additionally, it also helped us determine the geometric location of the employers. So what makes all this dashboard possible? There are two main tools in our toolshed, Ultrix and Tableau. These two tools help us do the data processing and the visualization. So Ultrix is a primary tool that helped me on the build the data source with the data set without coding and combine the multiple data source. And we can output the data anywhere we want. Also, it can help us schedule process to automate everything, make our work more efficient and accurate. Here is an example workflow I made to create the career readiness dashboard. We can simply just drag the tools into the workflow, like input the data from database or Excel, any data source we want, and then use filters, add functions, select the variables we want, and do inner join, outer join, left join, right join, and union the data set without any coding. So the next tool is Tableau. Tableau is like a key that unlocks the better understanding of our data. It enables us to connect and analyze and do the data visualizations for our projects, empower both individual staffs and the Career Service Center to make informed decisions. It acts like a bridge between data and insight, so allowed us to utilize its chart, the maps and dashboard to transform the data into stories. So whether we are in business, healthcare, or economic fields, we can use Tableau to better understand data. In conclusion, today's section is the beginning of our journey into the world of career service resource. Thank you for joining us. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. I've also attached career service contact information. Feel free to share with any students you may know, and let's help us build the bright career path. Thank you.